good late Tuesday, early Wednesday meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you a look at that Doppler perspective there into the wee hours of the morning. Some scattered showers in the Gulf, but not, nothing too concerning here right now as we're looking on that Wednesday in terms of anything that you can see on this vantage point. There is a fog threat, though, since fog advisories towards some of our communities. You see some of these communities here with the fog indications. So you got to be careful with that just to make sure you're taking precaution. I know it's a very busy travel period, so just kind of keep that in mind here as we're looking at things. And as you look off toward the north and west, there is even a small severe weather risk there on that Wednesday. You can see looking ahead in the timeline. I'll put the temperatures on now. It's kind of interesting how cool it is in toward that region. But there could be some isolated tornadoes even as we look ahead in toward the timeline. We're going to even have a threat locally later, in toward the period as we're looking toward Thanksgiving. So you got to be aware of that here as we're tracking things in toward the weather center. So going to be kind of paying attention here to all this as we look at the overall information. I know those local temperature readings right now, 59 toward Gainesville, where I'm at East to Stark, 57 degrees, 62 at Jacksonville International Airport, 56 around Albany there in towards southwest Georgia. So that's kind of the viewpoint there. I know we already said that day one risk, at least with the tornado threat now. I want to do something that's a little bit rudimentary here. I'm just going to kind of share the screen because this just came out here. So it's going to take me a second because I don't normally do it like this, but I want to give you the latest information that just came out from the Storm Prediction Center because it doesn't update in the other source here. So this is going to be straight from the website. So let me go ahead and kind of share the screen here and do it like that. So this is going to be from the website. It's going to be a little hard to see here, but you can kind of see the overall mapping. Let me go ahead and, in fact, I'll see if I can maybe make this just a little bit bigger as we're looking at things. Let me take that off just for a second there, and I'll make that a little bit bigger for everybody there at home so you guys kind of get an idea of exactly what we're talking about. I want you guys to be able to see the details here on what's going on with all this. So let me go ahead and kind of jump back on over. This is going to be the main SBC outlook now that's going to show up first. You can see the marginal risk. This is on Thanksgiving here. As we're looking at extends from around Stark, Jacksonville, off toward the north and west. We haven't really had one of these in a while. It's going to be because of storms, not, a tropical system or anything. Thankfully, it looks like we're putting really hurricane season in the rearview mirror at this point. But you do see marginal risk of severe weather on your Thanksgiving here. Now, times will kind of vary. In our area, I know it's kind of, really shown here to modeling lately that the threat could kind of come and then go and then maybe come back again there somewhere within the period. So a little bit tricky. The chance further south is less like Stark. Our chance would probably not be till later on. You can kind of see it right on the edge anyway. Tallahassee, Albany, Waycross there. That's where I'd be a little more concerned as we're looking ahead toward the timeline. So just kind of keep that in mind. There is a low end. It's not, something extraordinary here. I may not even get a tornado watch, but there is a low end tornado threat there on that Thursday. Could get a few rogue storms that are rotating here, and we could have some tornado warnings popping on up here or there. So we'll have to cut in. It's our policy to be on for any tornado warning storm within the 62 counties. Going up toward the wind risk, that covered a little bit bigger area. That's what kind of gets it down in maybe Bradford County. You see Jacksonville there, and then the hail risk there a little bit further on off here. So that's kind of the storyline as we're tracking the overall information. Just coming in, so I didn't have time to get that out. We're on, really late, so we can at least give you that information, but I don't have time to actually get that into toward another graphical form there. It doesn't automatically update in this system. In the other system, it takes a while to come on in, so we'll be waiting a while. But let's go ahead and see the tornado safety tips here. We're saying tornado watch right now would be less likely. That mean it won't happen here, but tornado warnings, if we get a few of those, and that means the tornado's been detected using radar and spotted. You want to seek such and such a sturdy building. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible and protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet. Now, the wind risk may be the more predominant risk in this pattern. So some severe thunderstorm warnings a possibility. Not something overwhelming. We're not turning the logo red, so that's good news. Granted, that still doesn't mean we couldn't have a rogue tornado or two. This is November now that we're talking about, late November. Where we can get these storms here. We can just get, most of the area, just some rain or nothing too crazy, and then a few spots could have pretty noteworthy damage that happens here this time of year. So gotta stay weather aware as we're looking at things, as we're tracking the overall information. Let me go ahead and move on over right now, though, toward the graphical presentation that we have set forth here for you. And you can see hurricane season. Haven't used the name Tony yet. Season only officially runs for a few more days, and right now, if we were to have anything, not looking like a U.S. threat here, as we're looking ahead next week at least. I mean, may not have anything really that's a threat toward the U.S. the rest of the year here at this point, so that would be good news if that were to be the case. Very well could be. It's been a season we'll never forget. Of course, we were covering all the storms live for you. Let's take a look back again there at that Hurricane Helene coverage, as we were seeing some of those power outages as they were happening, former power flashes across parts of the region. Here you guys go with that look back here at some of that coverage as we get back toward the month of September. I tell you what, we have one more. Oh, okay, it went dark again. Power flashes all over the place. Live on the air, Perry, Florida. Okay, so that was around 10:38 on that fateful night there, as I was moving across the region with Helene, and then we know what it did further north. I mean, in our area it was terrible, and further north there we had so many folks lose their life, as well as we were looking toward like western North Carolina, those mountainous areas. It was just a true disaster of epic proportions as we were looking up that way. As we go ahead, though, and say the tropical climatology, you can see lesser chance of tropical development as we get later on in toward that December period. So that's some good news as we're tracking things, as we're monitoring them. That's what we like to see. And then let me go ahead and kind of move along here now toward that rainfall forecast. You can kind of see here, not showing a whole bunch like around Stark. You see only 100th to a 10th. Now, I say that, and it is sent a new update out, I would think. Let me go ahead and check on that. They might have changed these just a little bit here. So let me go ahead and see if they've made any upgrades to this. Okay, I mean, they send this out right when we're doing this. Pretty much. They have added some areas here of rain enhancement. So instead of just 100th to a 10th now, some areas could get a 10th to a quarter around Stark. As we get towards southwest and south central Georgia, it's looking like some areas could get a half to 3/4 now. In a widespread manner. Isolated areas obviously could get more, and a lot of this will be obviously in that earlier time slot here in the period. It's going to dry out and get really cold as we look ahead, colder than what we just had here. Maybe even some freeze alerts will be coming up across our region with some frost alerts, some frost. Even when we were in Stark, we kind of said it might happen, didn't have an official advisory, but we had some of that around. Here's we're looking back there, and then I didn't go to clutter.com/rated open interactive look at things when we're not on the air, so keep that in mind. That's always important to do that, and use that resource, utilize that. Always on top of things for the 62 counties. We're in Bradford County. You see all the different counties here in the region. We're always trying to give you guys the very latest, and we're on for any tornado warning storms on all the different platforms. We've been coming on for 5 years with that, and it's our commitment to you whenever there's a tornado warning storm anywhere moving across any of these 62 counties. We'll be on the air for you guys. So I know, gotta be careful. I know we've happened before. Sometimes, we'll get a storm that didn't quite have enough rotation to prompt a warning. You still get a quick tornado touchdown. So still stay weather aware, and we could, be on precipitate thunderstorm warnings even as well. Those are situations we'll play by ear. Same if we were to get a flash flood warning, though this pattern probably wouldn't be as conducive for that. But We're going to continue to watch things. Be careful. This Thanksgiving, I know you guys want to let your guard down, but first time we actually had a almost severe risk here in a while. Granted, it's a 1 out of 5, so most of us will be all right here. But a few of us could have some issues, so keep that in mind. And Stark looks pretty good here for Thanksgiving afternoon as we're kind of looking at things. Some of the area not so much, but as we look toward like Stark, you're in a better spot here in like south toward or Tallahassee, something like that. So that's kind of bear that in mind as we're looking at things. So I just wanted to make you guys aware that it's not a day to cancel your Thanksgiving plans. At this point, anywhere in our area, Stark should be good. Okay. Still watch the radar, don't get me wrong, but if you have like a dinner planned outside there, it's gonna be 80 degrees. It actually, there'll be maybe some clouds around, but a little warm, but it's not something that you really need to cancel your Thanksgiving feast by any stretch of the imagination. Now, a few of these spots here, random spots, it might be something where it ends up getting pushed back a little bit, moved around, shifted around, something to that extent. So keep that in mind here as we're looking at things, as we're tracking the latest information. So we're going to keep on giving you the latest here as we're going to be really careful with that travel. It's Thanksgiving Eve. You got to be really careful on the roads here as you're just kind of moving across the region, nation, whatever here. I know real quick, I'll just kind of give you a national look at our perspective. Let me go ahead and do that. You can see here we do have, quite a few 30s around, and you see that wintry weather. Let's take it to Colorado. We have some snow there happening as we speak, but some parts of the country have some winter weather issues. Other parts, you guys will be okay, obviously. So the big story, from my end of things for our local area is a severe weather potential. But I know as we're looking toward, like, let's say that Thursday there, we could have further up in New York State some snowfall that could become, pretty noteworthy. That's something to kind of keep in mind. Upstate New York, somewhere like that, northern parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, you kind of get the idea, somewhere in that vicinity. Let me go ahead and get back on over here toward just some more information right now. As we're looking here, as we're tracking, I'm going to go ahead and go to another mode here. So let me go ahead and say that fog safety typographic now. We switch back toward the local area. I know you can see we have that dense fog potential, hazardous driving conditions, possible to low visibility. Slow down and give yourself extra time to reach your destination here. Make sure your vehicle is as visible as possible to other vehicles by using your low headlights. Leave plenty of room between you and the vehicle in front of you. And now we're going to go to a lighter topic here. College football. I know it's a rivalry game that we're talking about with this one on Saturday. It's rivalry weekend. Rain's unlikely for it. It's the Florida Gators who are coming off an impressive win, relatively against Ole Miss there. Gonna head to Tallahassee to take on an old. I know it has not been a good year at all after what happened with that playoff snub. Had an unconquered season, and then the college football playoff committee just discounted that. But Luke Kromenhoek there, what a nice performance. I know it's against Charleston Southern, but maybe he can replicate that for my Seminoles. I graduated from there. Obviously, I hope they get the win. I would try to be impartial, but you guys know I graduated from FSU. Go Noles. Noles have won 7 in the last 10 meetings here. That game at the home of the 2023 unconquered champions. I know what a great year it was until the committee made that decision on December 3rd. I know that anniversary of that decision coming up here on that Tuesday as we look ahead. But that's the way the calendar works this year. Thanksgiving's kind of late as we're looking at things. But 7 p.m. Saturday on ESPN2. As you see there, in the 40s, so bring that jacket. Gonna be mostly clear. It's gonna be pretty chilly out there. I know that college football selection a little bit later this year, again with the way Thanksgiving falls. And speaking of what I would think for the playoff, I know the committee puts a little bit higher value on SEC teams, it seems, but I just don't see Georgia being as high as what they have, nor Tennessee. I don't have Alabama, even really in my first four out. I mean, they lost by 21 points to an Oklahoma team who is not very impressive. I mean, they have not been that good at all. I mean, Alabama lost by 21 points to a team in Oklahoma. And keep in mind that they have them, right there just behind Clemson, maybe in the, area there. We're kind of considering things in terms of trying to put them in somehow. It would seem, but I mean, let's talk about Oklahoma, the team that Alabama lost to by 21 points. They just looking there at their schedule, they lost to teams that are like Texas by 31. They lost to South Carolina. That was a home game. They lost that game by 26 points. As you're looking at things, they just, not in a very impressive ball club whatsoever. I mean, it's just kind of hard to believe that Alabama's still in consideration. They did beat Georgia. That's about all they did all year so far. They lost to Vanderbilt. They lost to Oklahoma. And they also lost there to Tennessee. So Tennessee hadn't been that impressive either. So I'm just putting them in because they have two losses at this point. I mean, Clemson did, get blown out by Georgia, so you still got to take that into consideration. I think Clemson a little bit better now. Don't know if they beat Georgia, though, quite head-to-head still. But, Dabo Swinney, Cade Klubnik there with Clemson. That's a team there that has a tough test against South Carolina coming up on Saturday. If they can win that one, maybe they can find a way to squeeze on in there. That's a group that's a little bit more, cohesive compared to the era of the transfer portal where you have quarterbacks, just players coming in and out all over the place. Clemson's been a team that's fallen more of that, a traditional college football format there, formula from over the years, recruiting. That's such to be important. Instead of going from one team to another year to year, that's different. But anyway, I guess a old fashioned, but you can see here just looking at this, I know Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham, former FSU assistant coach there, we have them in right now, but that's contingent on them winning the Big 12. If they don't do that, they're probably not going to go. I would say BYU right there sitting out. I know Matt Campbell's squad, Kalani Sitake's squad there with BYU. Those both have two losses. Obviously, if one of those, wins the Big 12, they're in. More than likely. Now, Tulane might have a say about that potentially. Army's not probably going to have a say because they're further on out here at this point. But they got blown out by Notre Dame, so that wasn't close at all. Notre Dame there, they had that loss to Notre Dame, I don't know why, but they have been almost flawless since then. I mean, they've been not playing the toughest teams, but they've been winning by a very wide margin. I know Indiana didn't drop them as far as the committee did. I mean, only one loss, and I think they're better than Miami, to be quite honest. They're, and in Georgia, Tennessee, we talked about. I mean, you could say maybe they beat them on a field, but that's not the point. I mean, Indiana has one loss there. You can't just use the eye test there at points. You gotta just look at things and see that Indiana's one loss was Ohio State. If Indiana beats Purdue, they're probably in no matter what. That's a bit, hopefully, for their sake. Curtis Rourke there, that coach there, doing such a great job in his first season, coming in there from James Madison. I mean, Coach Signetti there, just trying to help them on out and the like. And you can see there, I mean, looking there, SMU, they made that quarterback change. I mean, to Jennings, quarterback Jennings there. And it seems to have really kind of helped that team. And they lost to BYU early in the year. They struggled on offense, even against Nevada. And since then, I mean, Jennings has really made a difference for them. I mean, it's been really impressive, to be quite honest, as you're looking at the SMU squad. I mean, the Mustangs, I have them one in the ACC. I know it's weird the way the committee kind of, does this. They act as if maybe they don't, win it, which they might not, of course, but they're the only one with no loss in the conference, so far here. But Kevin Jennings making that difference there, and then Miami, they might not even beat Syracuse there on Saturday. I mean, Syracuse, their quarterback coming in from Ohio State there. I mean, he's really been a difference maker for them. New coach there as well. But talking about, of course, Kyle McCord there. I mean, there's a decent chance Syracuse just wins that game outright. I mean, up there in New York State. I mean, it's inside. So if it's outside, you'd say even a lesser chance for Miami. But and really cold. But inside there, they do at least have a chance. Miami does. But I mean, Miami struggled in California. They really struggled this year. I mean, they were down by a wide margin in that game. They needed a lucky call to beat Virginia Tech. Then they barely beat Louisville. They lost to Georgia Tech, and then they were down. There as we're looking, in some of these games. I mean, then there's a close one there for a while against Wake Forest, who's 4-7. They did pull away one by wide margin late, 42-14, but 22 in the fourth quarter. Before that, it was just a 20-14 game. So if they could just manage the whole game better, I mean, if they can play like they do at the end of some of these games, and where they have been pulling away, if they can just do that for 4 quarters, and maybe they're a team that could be really, maybe get to the championship or something. But if they don't do that, they might not even make the playoffs. I mean, to be quite honest here, just looking at it, they just haven't really been, maybe, putting into work for the 4-quarter period there as we're looking at things. So that's kind of storyline. I know Oregon, what a great season for their transfer quarterback coming in there. He was at UCF, then at Oklahoma, Dylan Gabriel. Just kind of looking at things here on the board. Kind of tracking them for you here. And let's go ahead, though, and move along at this point toward an extended forecast. 10% chance of rain on that Wednesday, 50% on Thursday and Friday. Granted, it's dark. Should be good at this point, for Thanksgiving lunch outside. If that's what you're doing. A lot of folks do that. So that's to be good at this point. We'll be a little warm, though. But right now, looking pretty good in Stark. Other areas, maybe not. Do watch the radar. Watch the weather, maybe cutting in during that period, even for other areas of the Bean Circle. And the models, sometimes can be a little wishy-washy, so keep that in mind. I know, looking at this, I know high school football season over for Bradford. They put in a valiant effort, but they fell short against the Newberry Panthers there last Friday. I know Union's still playing. Well, this should be pretty good. Maybe a little cool for that, but, pretty good for that game coming on up. The schools in the area still playing as well. So that's something to kind of bear in mind as we're looking at things, as we're tracking them here across the region. So kind of just important to touch on here as we give you guys the very latest. So I just want to, kind of give you guys the latest on that. I'm just checking everything behind the scenes here to make sure we cover it all for you, your friends, your family. So I know that was a great win for Union against Pahokee. They're going to be playing there at Madison County there on a Friday night. So just want to make sure. I want to double check that actually, because I want to make sure they weren't playing like downstate or something. Yeah, so lesser chance of rain even there, and maybe a little bit cooler even than what Union would be there. So we'll see if they can get that win and move on. I think it'd be the state title game if they can get that win there in that, rural division. So hopefully they can do that here for our local Tri-County area per se. As we're looking at things, but Madison's always a tough test for everybody, and going on the road there be pretty tough for them against the Cowboys. But they're part of our area too, Madison County. But of course, we're in Bradford, so I'm a little bit biased toward the counties around here, especially, with like Union there and the likes, and Keystone and Clay County. But we're a Bradford graduate, of course, 2012. But anyway, as you're looking at things, that should pretty much wrap it up here for tonight. You see all that snow in Colorado there, as we're tracking the information. Locally, not too much on the radar right now, but again, could have some stronger storm. There'll be some warnings. Not a big deal. I don't, it's Thanksgiving. I don't want to hype it up. We already had that kind of scare, if you want to call it, with the model a few weeks back. That was really for a little bit there, insisting upon a hurricane hitting Florida. That didn't happen. So really don't want to ramp up a marginal risk here, except for when we absolutely have to. But if we have warnings, we have to be on the air if they're tornado warnings. So that's not completely out of the question. We could get a couple, and kicking you off guard on Thanksgiving, having that alert go off in your phone. I don't want you guys, just like, what in the world? I mean, so just you just don't want to get caught off guard. By the way, no update late Thursday here, but of course we'll be breaking in if and as necessary. So no update scheduled for late Thursday. Next scheduled up to be next Tuesday. I'm really hoping we don't have to come on here on Thanksgiving, but I'm kind of thinking there's a decent chance that we will. If not, if there's just we had this happen one Thanksgiving a few years back, I think it was. We had some thunderstorm warnings. They weren't impressive enough to really go on. And we just posted about them. And if we just have stuff like that posted on Facebook, there, Casey, Clyde, WX, Clyde Weather. I can't talk, it's late. But, Facebook, Casey, Clyde, WX, Clyde Weather, and then Twitter /X at Clyde Casey. So that's if we don't have to actually go on, we'll be posting like severe thunderstorm warnings. But any tornado warnings, we'll be on immediately to give you that latest information because you need to get that into your room away from windows. It could be Thanksgiving, lunch, dinner, whatever, for a few of you where that could happen. Not many of you, most of you all right from that, but a few of you could have that issue. So, just stay weather aware of thunder roars, go indoors here as well. Not expecting a whole bunch of lightning, but there could be some. Obviously, if you have some of those storms that get a little bit stronger, that would definitely be an issue as well. And maybe a sign in this pattern, something that's a little bit more intense even. So just kind of stay weather aware. It's not summer where you get lightning all the time, but if you get it here, it could be a more potent storm. But you can also have, dangerous weather this time of year without lightning. We've had tornadoes without lightning before this time of year in general. So you got to still be aware. Is what I'm saying. Even if you're not hearing thunder, make sure you're staying aware. 57 degrees outside right now. Here, I know it's in the wee hour of the morning as we're looking at things, 2:30 in the morning as we're doing this update. But it's not too bad, but it's going to get cold here and might have to protect some of those plants here as you look ahead toward the weekend early next week. People, pets, obviously, as well. And then, a couple more areas, it's a little bit too hard to tell, but it's possible maybe in South Georgia, one of those nights, maybe you have to protect the pipes as well. That's a little uncertain, but we'll be keeping an eye on that for you and letting you know and posting something if that really becomes something prevalent. I know Jacksonville office not necessarily delineating between freeze and hard freeze this year, so gotta kind of, just keep your eyes out. 27 degrees is that delineation where you really start, worrying about the pipes a little bit, where you have to start dripping them. I have 32 broadly for next Tuesday morning. Of course, there could be a few spots so they get closer to something around 27, not out of the question. And, it's still a little bit, early to give you a good idea on that. So we'll keep an eye on it. I may even mention that some if we're on for severe warnings in the days to come here, as we get, out ahead of that cold air mass here that's going to try to come on through. I mean, there's going to be more than one stage of it, with high pressure in control. It's going to, not necessarily be the coldest right at the beginning like it sometimes is. We could, kind of get cooler and cooler for a few nights there a bit. So keep that in mind. For now, have a great night. Happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe out there. I'll be back here with our next formal update next Tuesday, a week from now, late Tuesday or late Wednesday. But obviously, as necessary, if we have those warnings, especially tornado warnings, we'll be on immediately to protect you, your friends, and your family.